Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another lecture on IoT. During the previous lectures, you have seen the different definitions, architectures, levels of deployment for IoT. So those were very easy to understand because everything was explained to you. The real challenge begins when you start implementing the IoT. So today's lecture is on those challenges. What are the challenges that we are going to face while implementing an IoT project? The first challenge will be coming as hardware design challenge. Second one is the challenge with the protocol design. What protocols are we going to use in our project? And finally, the challenge that comes in terms of deployment. How do you put the project that is in paper into a real environment where all these things are work, generate data, perform analytics, and do some control to the environment? So to summarize, today's lecture will be talking to you on hardware challenges, protocol design challenges, and implementation challenges. So we will get started quickly. So the IoT ecosystem comprises of heterogeneous elements, both in terms of hardware and software. This heterogeneity brings in difficulty in implementation. So it's not an easy task by many measures for many reasons, including the complex nature of different components. So this is a fundamental cause. You cannot insist that I will use only one type of equipment, one type of network in my project. If you make such a design decision, it's quite likely that your customer may leave you after some time. They want anything to be used irrespective of the brand or the maker. So let us understand it in more details by looking at through 5 perspectives or from the point of 5 components: sensors, networks, standards, analysis, and actions. So how all these components bring in their own challenges into the IoT implementation. So let's get started with sensors. So this is how they are laid out. On one end you have sensors and the other end you have intelligent actions. Actions are the result of processing that happens in the middle part, and the input is predominantly obtained from the sensors. So IEEE defines sensors as an electronic device that produces electrical or optical or digital data derived from a physical condition or an event. So what is this physical condition or an event, and how does it gets converted into electrical or optical digital data? So put it another way, every sensor is observing 3 parameters of the nature: resistance, inductance, and capacitance. R, L, and C. This is how we denote them. So any change in resistance, inductance, or capacitance can be converted into a change in a voltage. That is enough for us because a voltage change can be easily detected by a microcontroller, either as an analog or in digital form. We have learned that in our lab sessions. So data produced reaches the sensor, and from there it will go to the devices. So this data is useful in decision making done by intelligent devices or individual. See, in some cases some decisions are manual. The people are in between to suggest the machine what to do next, especially mission critical applications. So there are 2 types of sensors: active sensors and passive sensors. So we select sensors based on some parameters, the purpose for the sensor, how accurate it should be. For example, we learned about LM35 temperature sensor. See, that cannot be used in a boiler or a very extreme conditions where the temperature can go beyond 1000 degrees centigrade. There we need industrial grade temperature sensors. Or when it comes to healthcare, LM35 is not a good option for measuring human body temperature. So there we need another kind of sensor. You might have seen IR temperature sensors and all as part of this COVID time. Okay, so temperature sensor itself comes in different flavors and we pick them based on our purpose, accuracy, reliability and all. And the range of operation, resolution, how accurate it could be. So the resolution has to do something with the measurement ranges. So what is the smallest change that the sensor can detect, and level of intelligence, whether the sensor is capable of discarding the ambient noise and get only the required data. So this talks about what is known as signal to noise ratio, S by N ratio. So we would like to have a very high signal to noise ratio for our sensors. So in your use case implementation, when you select a sensor, ask these questions to you many times. Why should I take this sensor, etc. Because during the review, we may ask you what made you to take a decision for a particular sensor. At that time, don't tell us that Amazon delivered this sensor was available in that particular shop. Those kind of answers will put you in trouble. Now, what drives the sensor industry? So sensors have now become cheaper, smarter and smaller as time goes ahead. This is because of the technological advances that has happening. So the driving forces are the three which makes the sensor a lot more cheaper, much more smarter and very small. And if you look at the timeline, the sensor prices has come down drastically. This happens because of MEMS technology. We will learn about that microelectronics MEMS technology, that is miniaturizing everything and start mass production. Only then the cost will come down. We will learn more about this MEMS in the coming lecture, so please hold on for that. So as you can see, the price has come down. This shows up to 2014 and it has even more down as we go ahead with 2020. Now, after having selected the right sensor, again the challenges are not over. You have to think about it: power consumption, security, interoperability and so on. So the second step of this implementation is to transmit the data collected by sensors to the control unit. It could be an edge device or it could be a gateway. That depends on your level of design. We have learned different levels of design. So the second step would be the proper choice of the network. This also is very much required in your use case implementation, including LAN, MAN and WAN. So you can use different types of network by different network technologies. Wi-Fi, low power Wi-Fi, WiMAX, Ethernet, LTE, all everything could be used. And each of these network, it has its own characteristics like data rate, range of communication, required power, etc. So let us look at that in more details. So as we go ahead in the timeline, our data rates are increasing with the proliferation of different types of technology. Now 5G is at our doorsteps, offering a whopping 1 Gbps and higher data rates. So availability of these kind of technologies has resulted adoption it into the IoT. So IoT is forced to adopt all these kind of network technology into its implementation. So these are about various cellular technologies, and there are non-cellular technologies as well, which we will discuss in coming lectures. So as we looked at the driving forces for network, sensors, the driving forces for using a network in an IoT are high data rate, low price of data usage. So this you will agree with me. Think about the data cost before, at least 2 or 3 years before, the amount of 1 MB of data. Now the MB based pricing is gone. We started pricing based on GBs. So virtualization is coming, virtualizing the network nodes and access points, and the cloud is giving everything you as a service. X as a service concept. This X can be software, platform and infrastructure. That's what software as a service, platform as a service and infrastructure as a service. See, about this we have a detailed discussion coming up down the line. And deployment of IPv6 is another important milestone, because IPv6 gives you the freedom to give IP addresses to everything in your project and make it accessible over the public internet. I request you students to study more on this. So how do we give IP addresses and access it on a public internet? Now again, after having chosen the correct network topology, you are left with the challenge in implementing it. Enormous growth in the number of connected, scalability, availability of network coverage. So this is a major issue. Let's say you are going to implement a forest fire detection system, and most of your sensors will be installed in the remote forests where you will not have any network coverage. So what are you going to do there? And another one is security. Let's say somebody is playing in between your sensors so that your sensor data is not reaching you, or modified or manipulated data is arriving at your system. So manipulated data results in wrong decisions and your system will not work properly. So this security is another major concern of the data. You have to be very careful. You must clearly define the people who have access to the data. And lastly, power consumption, because these sensors or most of the edge devices are going to be battery powered. So you need to ensure longer battery life, otherwise your project will not be a success, because you will be spending most of the time in changing the batteries, which is not at all an attractive way of maintaining the project. So you have to come up with low power, low cost, high security devices which are at the heart of your IoT project. So the scalability aspect can be easily found out. So as we go ahead, we are connecting billions of devices to the network. See, when it is reaching 2020, we have more than 50 billions of connected devices globally. They all generate data. They all need a network share of bandwidth. So this makes IoT more and more challenging. So more details on the challenges and an example for all these things will come in the next lecture.